This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Good. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, and of course live on ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Style Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. I am laughing my behind off. I'm laughing my behind off. You know why? Because it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. I want to personally thank the Phoenix Suns for giving me a reason to laugh. I want to thank them. I want to show my sincere gratitude to the Phoenix Suns, the 18-40 Phoenix Suns, the moribund franchise that appears to be the Phoenix Suns, the same organization that threw away Eric Bledsoe, sent away Greg Monroe. All right, that Devontae Booker is probably embarrassed to be playing for. That same organization, all right, had the audacity, the unmitigated gall, the temerity to have a player like Troy Daniels go before the cameras and talk about they were disrespected. They were disrespected by the Golden State Warriors with Steve Kerr, the coach of the Golden State Warriors, actually taking a break from coaching the Golden State Warriors and left it up to the players to call plays. You're Troy Daniels. You're upset. You feel like, oh my God, it was just disrespectful to the Suns organization for another team to allow its players to actually call plays and do the coaching against you. But this is in the process of you losing by 46 points. Did the Golden State Warriors disrespect the Phoenix Suns, or did the Phoenix Suns disrespect themselves by showing up and pretending that they came to play a basketball game? How about that? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. Your feelings are hurt? The Golden State Warriors have disrespected you? You haven't disrespected you? You're 18-40. How the hell did somebody disrespect you? You disrespected you. You lost by 46. And what you're lamenting after the game is the fact that the coach wasn't calling the plays? I mean, hell, if Steve Kerr is everything we think he is, and we believe he is, since he's a two-time champion as a head coach, chances are it might have been worse. And by the way, Phoenix Suns, I don't know if you paid any attention to this at all, but you were only down by 28 points after three quarters. So that means when the third stringers were brought into the game, and you had already got ramrodded, you still ended up losing by 18 points in the fourth quarter. But Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors disrespected you? You sound like my producer, Jonathan Winthrop, with his weird, soft self half the time, while he's sitting there putting on his pom-poms. The disrespect came from the Phoenix Suns and how pathetic they looked. That's where it came from. Now, did Steve Kerr, or would he have done this against a more formidable team? Probably not. Which means he walked into the game knowing you stunk and that he could afford to do this. So y'all might sit up there and say, well, that's that's pouring salt on the proverbial wound. That's not his problem. You don't like it? Do something about it. It's very, very simple. Play better. Be better. And maybe you wouldn't have these concerns. 888-729-3776 is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's the number to call up into the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. By the way, in this particular game, here's all y'all need to know. Think about this. This is a Steph Curry that could drop 50, a Kevin Durant that could drop 50, a Klay Thompson that could drop 37 in one quarter. These are these kind of guys. You know what their numbers were last night? 22 points for Steph Curry, 17 for Kevin Durant, 19, for Mr. Casby, Omri Casby. Klay Thompson had 16. Kevin Durant had 17. Steph Curry had 22. That means, you know what else? Guys like Caspi and Nick Young and Pajulia and Iguodala smoked y'all. Some dude named Patrick McCaw dropped 9 points on 4-6 shooting off the bench. He played 7 minutes. Steve Kerr played all 12 guys. Every one of them scored, including Kevon Looney, who hit the only shot he took. Phoenix Suns, this is on you. And by the way, Josh Jackson, I like you. You got promise. But 4-18 shooting, come on, bro. Come on now. You can do better. You can do better. Devin Booker. I said Devontae, I don't know why. Devin Booker didn't play last night. Thank God he wasn't subjected to this nonsense. Sarver, the owner, long way away from the days where Steve Nash was your point guard and Mike D'Antoni was your coach, huh? Pretty damn bad. Pretty damn bad. I had no problem with what Steve Kerr did. None whatsoever. And as far as I'm concerned, any of you that had a problem with, shame on you. Plain and simple. Got something else on my mind, though. Something else that hits a bit closer to home that I wanted to get into. And that's Mr. LaVar Ball making news. LaVar Ball has made news again, talking about how if both of his sons don't end up being Lakers, Lonzo may leave the Lakers so he can go and play with both of his brothers. Clearly he's just talking. Clearly it means nothing, but he is the father of the point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. On one hand, I want to say he's nuts, okay? Number two, what I'd like to say is that I'm telling you right now, this man keeps running his mouth. If he runs his mouth again about the Los Angeles Lakers, I might consider trading Lonzo. Come summertime, I'm telling you. He better show up and play. He better show up and show that he's worth all the noise his daddy makes. And the reason why I say that, because, ladies and gentlemen, we've been under the impression it has nothing to do with the son. But guess what? The son is a young man, and you do not have to disrespect nor speak against your father. All you have to do is come out and remind the world, my father's his own man. He feels the way that he feels. But I'm my own man. And I'm proud to be a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I ain't thinking about going anywhere, ever. You could say that. There's nothing wrong with you saying that if you're Lonzo Ball. But we haven't heard any such words come out of his mouth. And at some point in time, he's got to man up. He just has to man up. And he has to be willing to say what a lot of us are thinking. You don't have to be disrespectful to your father, nor dismissive of him. But at some point in time, you're going to have to sit up there and exude the level of confidence that resonates in other people when it comes to what they think about you by letting the world know that you're your own man. And I don't think Lonzo has done that. And that's where my issue with him lies. I actually like LaVar Ball. Do I think he's obnoxious and crazy with some of the things he says and does sometimes? You're damn right. But I think there's more pros than cons that come with him as it pertains to Lonzo. And I got to give credit where credit is due. I do not like the fact he pulled his son out of UCLA. I do not like the fact that he pulled his other son out of high school. For all intent and purposes, you got one son that's a dropout in college, one son that's a dropout in high school. Now, they didn't literally drop out. You pulled them out. But it seems to be about what daddy wants instead of about what they want. But that's not for any of us to say because we don't know. What we do know is that Lonzo Ball is a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. And everybody wants to point to this comment. I'm going to point to the previous comment when he dogged Luke Walton. And he talked about how he's lost the team. Well, where would you get that from? You saw Lonzo said nothing to his daddy about that? I don't think he did, but are you sure? These are legitimate questions. The other legitimate question is, when do you get to a point where it's time to ignore LaVar Ball? And as media members, are we responsible for what he has become because of our coverage of him? My answer wouldn't be no. It wouldn't be yes. It would be so damn what? The man's son is the point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. That makes it newsworthy. I'm not going to ignore him. I might ignore certain things he says, but I won't ignore him altogether, not as long as Lonzo Ball is a player for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't give a damn what anybody says. 888-SAY-ESPN, that's 888-729-3776. More the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. In a minute, remember, Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more. You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Approximately 15 minutes past hour number 2. The Love Doctor will be paying a visit. Courtesy of 1-800-FLOWERS. Remember, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Some of you out there, Valentine's Day is a very, very important day. It matters. It certainly matters to your woman. It matters to most relationships. Got to make sure you're on point. Just a thought. Love Doctor, courtesy of Martin Lawrence. Show Martin. Love Doctor, get on out of him, the Love Doctor. 1-800-FLOWERS noticed that too. So they said they wanted to bring it to the Stephen A. Smith Show. And of course, your boy is happy to oblige. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Love Doctor making an appearance about 15 minutes past hour number 2. Until then, we'll continue talking about what I've been talking about, LaVar Ball. Be talking about, Steve Kerr electing not to coach. Yesterday, electing to let the players coach. Steve Kerr met with Coach Jay Triano for the Phoenix Suns at midcourt after the game. Steve Kerr says, I have to coach my team. I told Jay afterward, people may make a big deal of it. It had nothing to do with me being disrespectful. It had to do with me trying to reach my team. I have not reached them for the last month. They're tired of my voice. I'm tired of my voice. It's been a long haul these last 3 years. 3 straight trips to the NBA Finals, lots of games played along the way. That's what Steve Kerr's alluding to. Jay Triano told ESPN after the game, I noticed their plays were a little better tonight, he joked. Nah, I didn't have a problem with what Steve did. That's what he said. They lost by 46 points, shot 34% from the field, didn't have Devin Booker. We get all of that. Phoenix is not a very good team. Okay, whether Earl Watson or Jay Triano's coaching. Bottom line. No other way to slice it. Let's get to the phones at 888-729-3776. Let's go to James in New Jersey. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. Quick question. Do you think it would have been different if, let's say, they were playing Golden State? I mean, if they were playing Cleveland and Steve Kerr had done that?
I think he would have. I don't think there would have been any questions about disrespect.
But what I mean by that is,
go ahead.
To Phoenix. He did it to Phoenix. Do you think he would have done it? I don't think he would have done it to.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
So I think that he does. I think it is a little bit of a disrespecting if he could do it to one team but wouldn't do it to another.
Well, you can look at it that way, or you can look at the fact that the Phoenix Suns stink. And because they stink, it's kind of easy to do it to. Listen, let's not act like players are oblivious to the level of competition they're going up against. You're a world champion. Okay, you win better than 60% of your games. You know that everybody and their mother has you as the favorites to repeat. You got to worry about San Antonio, OKC, and Houston, of course. You know how hard it is to get up for the Phoenix Suns? If you are the Golden State Warriors in the month of February with All-Star Weekend approaching, you looking to get some time off? You know how hard that is? So to me, I take all of those things into consideration. And could it come across as a bit disrespectful? Here's how. You don't consider them much of competition. Okay? So my point to you is this, James. You're the Golden State Warriors. You don't consider the Phoenix Suns competition. So Steve Kerr says, I'm going to take the day off, let the players be reinvested. Let's see what they do. And they go out and beat you by 46 points. Really? That's the conversation? That it was disrespectful? How about whether or not this is the conversation? Did Phoenix deserve respect to begin with? How about that? I think that's a legitimate question.
No, I get that, but it's not like Phoenix did anything to, I mean, they know they stink. You got guys like, I think the guys that were talking were,
I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear, James. So what you're saying is Steve Kerr should have been a little caught up in his feelings and been a bit more sensitive to the competition.
I mean, I guess. I just think that he wouldn't have done it if LeBron James was on the other side.
No. We've conceded that. We've conceded. That's probably something he would not have done against Cleveland. So he did it against Phoenix. My point to you is, what? So? What? Did Phoenix have an opportunity to do something about it? Have a nice day, James. Tristan in Minnesota, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey there, Stephen A. How you doing today?
I'm all right. Go ahead, man.
All right. Well, this whole LaVar Ball thing, I think it's gone on long enough. And There's a term that's been tossed around a few times, and people usually retract it right away, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. This guy is a cancer to the NBA, and he's a cancer to his own son's career.
Whoa. His own son's career, the potential for that to be the case is valid. How is he a cancer to the NBA?
Everybody's just getting tired of hearing about him.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. NBA's thriving. LaVar Ball doesn't impact the NBA in a negative way.
I mean, I can concede that. It's just, for me, I just feel like he is definitely bad publicity across the board for the NBA in general.
Well, he's bad publicity for himself. He might be bad publicity for his son. Let me ask you a question. If Lonzo Ball was playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? You trying to tell me you ain't going to want to watch them because of LaVar?
Oh, absolutely not.
What does he have to do? Whoa. Let me ask the question. What does he have to do with the team playing? He's a parent who's running his mouth. Why would you let that stop you from rooting for your team?
Good point.
Have a nice day. Take it easy. I appreciate you acknowledging it's a good point. Tony in Jacksonville, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen? This disrespect thing with Phoenix, man, it just blows me away. You're playing on the highest level in the world.
Thank you.
You fire your coach after 3 games in the season. That ain't disrespectful enough.
That's right.
To me, that's disrespect. And you trade your second best or first base player and get nothing for him.
Yeah, and traded him because he was at a salon with his girl tweeting about basically you interpreted him as him saying he didn't want to be here and then banned him from playing for the team before you moved him.
And then you disrespectfully admitted that on TV. So disrespect is all around.
Ryan McDonough, the general manager, that's exactly what he did.
Respectful. Keep that in-house. So you've been disrespectful in all types of ways. And now you got a team that's on the court. I coach AAU, Stephen. If I know a team that we can wax, I start my bench. The other team don't find that disrespectful because I did something different. Golden State knows they can beat them. And to me, Phoenix should be wondering, okay, if this is the case, we are awful. We need to fix this problem instead of going at the disrespectful route. Look at yourself. Keep it in-house.
You lost by 46 points to a team that coached or with players that coached themselves. And you going to cry about disrespect. It don't make no damn sense. It really, really don't. Appreciate the call. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. More to Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! By the way, Rashad Jennings, former running back for the New York Giants, going to be in Times Square tomorrow giving out flowers, roses, bringing in Valentine's the way it's supposed to be brought in. So I'm bringing him on the show to talk about that because obviously I'm quite sure a lot of people want to know what would possess him to do such a thing and what kind of profound effect does he expect that to have on others for Valentine's Day. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that, because, Stephen A., it's all about love. It's all about love. Making people feel good as best as you possibly can, at least from time to time. Back to the phones we go at 729-3776. 888-SAY-ESPN. Spring training is about to be here. Looking at Aaron Boone up there talking about the New York Yankees. Murderers Road. I mean, the monsters that they got, Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez and the crew. 3, 4, and 5 hitters. I can't wait. I can't wait. By the way, I didn't even bring this up the other day. Why the hell is Yu Darvish getting paid 6 years, $126 million from the Chicago Cubs? Can anybody tell me that? I don't think he deserves it. If it were me, I would have kept Lackey and Arrieta. Why the hell am I giving Yu Darvish $126 million? Did y'all see him during the World Series? I knew he was going to mess up during warm-ups. I was at Dodger Stadium. I didn't like the way he looked warming up. I knew he was going to get smacked around. I didn't like it one bit. But that's just me. Back to the phones we go. Mike in Denver, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Talk to me, bro.
Get right into it with Steve Kerr, man. Hey, look, what they did last night, ain't nothing wrong with it. Like you said, Stephen A., if they go back to the finals this year, that's 4 years, man, at high-level playing they've been doing. Like you say, man, they tired of hearing him talk. He's tired of hearing his self-talk, so just let them run up and down the floor and get their car wears out like they've been doing. You know, they've been beating people like that. So last night was a good game for them to, get their feel and their presence back, before the All-Star break. They need some rest. They tired, and it wasn't no disrespect. It's all of them grown out there. It's just that, like you say.
Listen, they got smacked around. They lost by 46 points, and they were caught up in their feelings. The Phoenix Suns are just not a good basketball team right now. It's just that simple. And they better get it together quick, because I got news for you. If they don't, let me tell you something. You think I wouldn't love to see Devin Booker in a better team? You think I wouldn't love to see him in a major market? Devin Booker? This is the same brother that dropped 71 against the Celtics last year. Devin Booker can ball. Phoenix better get something around him before he don't want any parts of that place. Better get something around him.
My other little point I wanted to make, man, LaVar Ball, he done just went over the top now. He done went over the top if he really believes his sons, the other two, is that good for somebody to have all three of them signed. Lonzo can't even get himself together yet, and let alone to get all three of them together. And, I seen y'all on First Take this morning going at it. Don't forget to check Jalen out this day like you said you was, to see if he talk about it on this show, too.
We'll see. We'll see. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much, bro. Thank you for calling. Let's go to Stu in Inglewood. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, man.
Hey, what's going on, Stephen? How you doing, bro?
I'm listening. Talk to me, man.
I'm calling because, I've been the number one LaVar Ball, apologist out of everybody, I'll say, because I'm from L.A., but I think some of the rhetoric is kind of getting out of hand. So my question to you is, do you think, even though it's a different sport, do you think the NBA owners could get together kind of like we think the NFL owners did with Kaepernick and kind of just block the Ball family out? Nobody will want to touch him. You think it can get to that situation?
Well, why should it get to that? If Lonzo isn't saying anything, right, what did Lonzo do that you want to blackball him?
It just. I'm thinking like the NBA just might just want to just get tired of all the heat.
I understand the tired. I asked you a question. What did Lonzo do that warrants blackball?
He didn't do nothing at all. But I'm saying, he want to start to see his own JV, his own league, the shoes. I mean, they might just get together and be like, okay, he's taking from our bottom line. I'm thinking.
Well, that's LaVar. But what did Lonzo do? You talking about barring the Ball family? He didn't do anything.
Nah, he just hasn't spoken up, like you said. He needs to stand up.
He needs to man up.
He's about to have his own child.
He needs to man up. Well, I ain't getting into all of that. His business is his business. I'm only talking about basketball. He's his own man, and the bottom line is that he needs to stand up and make sure that he distances himself from his daddy's comments. That's what he needs to do, in my personal opinion. But I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Jim in Missouri, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. In regards to Steve Kerr, I think he might have been better served to have his players coach against a good team and get back into their heads with a loss, convince them that he's the coach and he knows what's best. We said he felt he wasn't getting through to him lately for the last month or so, and if they'd had a loss against a good team, he might have been better served.
Well, listen, I think if it was if he if he pulled this against a better team, I don't think there would be any inquiry. I don't think there would be a situation where people are looking at him as being disrespectful. I think that the fact that it was the Phoenix Suns is the only reason we're talking about it from a disrespectful standpoint. Had it been against stiffer competition, I think Steve Kerr would be respected even more for doing what he did.
Right.
That's my
I don't think he was disrespectful at all doing what he did. I've played on teams in grade school where we did the same thing or have the same thing done against us.
Yeah.
You know, it's
well, listen, the bottom line
I think he's trying to get into his players' heads. I think that was his intent, but it came across as disrespect because the Phoenix Suns stink, and they got ramrodded last night by 46 points. If they didn't stink and they didn't lose by 46, we wouldn't be using words like disrespect. And that's the bottom line. I got to run. I appreciate the call. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. We'll continue talking about LaVar Ball, Steve Kerr, and his decision to let the players coach the game last night against the Phoenix Suns. We'll also get into Greg Popovich and his comments, some very, very poignant comments that he made about America and the culture that exists within our nation. That and so much more coming up. Stick around. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! One of the other things I want to get into today, and I want to see whether or not we have that sound from Greg Popovich, because I think it's important to bring this up. It is Black History Month. It's not just Valentine's Day approaching, it's Black History Month. And I spoke about this yesterday because Boston Police Department sends out a tweet honoring Red Auerbach, former coach and GM for the Boston Celtics. Great man he was, bringing championships to the city of Boston and the Boston Celtics organization. First man, draft a black player. First man to start 5 black players together in the NBA. Obviously, hired a black coach and Bill Russell, et cetera, et cetera. We know all of that. But Black History Month, universally recognized as a time to recognize African Americans who made incredible contributions to the American community, not just the black community. Boston Police Department decided to honor Red Auerbach instead, which I thought was egregious. Particularly in a time and a place that has its own questionable history with minorities, particularly at a time where we have folks questioning how law enforcement officials feel about minorities. Just wasn't the wisest decision to make. It was tone deaf. It was insensitive. It was uncalled for. Nevertheless, somebody took it a step further and asked Greg Popovich about the significance of Black History Month and what it should mean to all of us. Do we have that sound from Greg Popovich? I believe it. Put the quotes up for me, please, because I want to read it to my audience. It's pertinent, it's relevant, and coming from Greg Popovich, damn it, it matters. It's just that simple. And so we have to look at it and treat it with the significance that it warrants, and we have to go from there. It's really, really that simple. Quote, Greg Popovich, I think it's pretty obvious. The league is made up of a lot of black guys. To honor Black History Month and understand it is pretty simplistic. How would you ignore that? But more importantly, we live in a racist country that hasn't figured it out yet. And it's always important to bring attention to it, even if it angers some people. The point is that you have to keep it in front of everybody's nose so that they understand it, that it still hasn't been taken care of. And we have a lot of work to do. Very profound statement on the part of Greg Popovich. Very, very much appreciated. No matter how much we've progressed, we're constantly reminded that there's still a way to go. That's what we're looking at. 888-729-3776. Back to the phones we go. Jason in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Yo, what up, Stephen A? How you doing?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to comment on the LaVar Ball thing. I don't think it's such a bad thing what he's doing because at the end of the day, it's putting all the attention on the Lakers. And I think that's really what it's about at the end of the day.
Well, I disagree with you in this particular instance. Talking about Luke Walton, talking about the players and how he couldn't resonate with young players, that was damaging and all of that other stuff, but it also lit a fire under them, one could argue. This has nothing to do with that.
Well,
this has everything to do with him talking about his sons and ultimately talking about how Lonzo won't be there if his sons aren't allowed to become members of the Lakers. That's entirely different than what you're talking about.
I mean, that's the rhetoric of his persona. I mean, we understand that he's loud. We understand that he's a salesman in a sense. And at the end of the day, when he speaks, it's like the barbershop every time because it gets people talking about him.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant to the point at hand. The point at hand is that he was talking about how his players, his sons, need to become Lakers, or his son that's on the Lakers would end up leaving the Lakers.
Well,
how does that light a fire under the Lakers?
That's a far stretch.
Of course it is.
Because, over the position of where their sons are in, the position their sons are in right now, they have a long way to go. We understand that. So that's the comedy in it all, the outlandishness of that comment right there. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, that how can you say something like that? But at the end of the day, we know it's just rhetoric because what's real is Lonzo was playing, and he's doing somewhat of a good job. And not only that, whatever he's saying, whatever his father's saying, rather, it's not affecting him because he's still doing his thing. He's still being Lonzo. And to suggest that his words, his father's words, are doing something to his psyche or his mental game, or is affecting him negatively, it's kind of assuming because
you're all over the place, bro. You're all over the place, bro. Because the point is that the only reason we brought LaVar Ball up is because we're saying how outlandish your statement was, and we're saying, look, if you're Lonzo Ball and you don't speak up and separate yourself from this kind of rhetoric, you understand who knows what he'll do next. And as a result, Lonzo Ball might not need to be here. If you can't man up and handle your business as a young man, nobody's asking you to disrespect your father or speak against him. But you're also a member of a team. And if I'm Lonzo Ball's teammate, I got to be careful about anything that I say or do around him if I'm worried about what he's telling his father, A, and B, how he doesn't have the wherewithal or the intestinal fortitude to separate himself from those comments. I got to look at him with shady eye. That's just me. But I got to run. I appreciate the call. Jason, thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Hour number 2 up next. Still a lot of stuff to get into. Clearly, we're going to get into what we've been talking about in terms of LaVar Ball and Lonzo. Steve Kerr starting to letting his players call plays and basically coach the team last night. Des Bryant and whether or not he's worth a new contract. How much of a pay cut should he take, if any at all? That's another subject we need to broach as well. Okay? And how responsible is the media for the LaVar Ball craze and all of that other stuff. So much to get into. Plus a little baseball talk. Spring training's coming here. I'm looking forward to my Yankees doing damage this year. I'm wondering what the Dodgers are going to do this year, too. Lots of stuff to get into. And obviously the Love Doctor's going to pay a visit as well because tomorrow's Valentine's Day. So let us not forget that. Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Courtesy of 1-800-FLOWERS, the Love Doctor. We'll pay a visit yet again. So stick around. Don't touch that dial. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. Hour number 2. Coming at you up next. Don't touch that dial.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.